So when you actually do strike her, what's the result?
Her skull gave way a little bit, and then I strangled her.
Welcome to 5-Minute Crimes, where we break down some of the most deranged cases in just 5 minutes. This is the case of Russell Williams. The year 2009, the place, Ontario, Canada. Russell Williams, a respected man in the Canadian Armed Forces, a colonel to be exact. He was widely regarded as a model military officer throughout his 23-year career. He received his flying wings in 1990, was promoted to captain in 1991, to major in 99, and in 2004, lieutenant colonel. Ultimately, in 2009, became the wing commander at the CFB Trenton. Needless to say, the guy made his mark. He even piloted VIP planes that transported dignitaries like the Prime Minister of Canada, Prince Philip, and even Queen Elizabeth. Well, all the positive reinforcement in the world cannot outweigh the story you're about to hear, so fasten your seatbelts. During 2008 and 2009 in Orleans, an Ottawa neighborhood, Russell Williams' neighborhood, strange things would start happening. There would be 34 break-ins and attempted break-ins. The desired loot, not jewelry, not money, not anything of value really. What he was looking for was women's underwear, bathing suits, dresses. And Russell's house was nestled in close proximity to all of them. Some of his victims were as young as 12 years old. He also owned a small cottage in the quiet town of Tweed, Ontario. Russell would spend most of his week here as it was much closer to the Air Force Base than his home in Ottawa. The break-ins in Tweed would start in 2007, and some victims were burglarized more than once. He would stake out the house. When he knew nobody was home, he would go in and see what he could find. He would even spend time in the home, trying on garments and even, well, doing nasty things. He took pictures, don't worry. At some point, simply breaking into homes while nobody was home wouldn't be enough. Things would escalate. Russell's first victim was sleeping when he snuck in. So was her infant child. He would tie her up, blindfold her, grope her and fondle her, and even take photos of her naked. And being blindfolded, the victim didn't know who he was. A few weeks later, he would do the exact same thing to another woman. And in November 2009, he would do it again, stealing lingerie, sex toys, and even a porno video from the house. He would leave a note on the homeowner's computer saying, "Go to the police. I want to show the judge your big dildos." The more you hear these kind of stories, the more you understand that it will only get worse. Things will escalate more and more, and this case would be no different. Being the new commander at the base, Russell had access to vital information on the troops. Well, this would prove to be a problem. In order to keep his pilot license active, he flew once a month. And Corporal Marie-France Como was often the flight attendant on said flights. After missing a work shift in late November 2009, Marie's boyfriend would go to her house to check in with her. He would find her body. Marie had been on a work-related trip to India, and while she was away, Russell, knowing her address and status of her location, would go into her home, took pictures, of course stole her underwear, etc. You know, the norm. Upon her return, Russell would break in again. This time he would hide in the basement. Apparently, Marie would go searching for one of her cats and wind up going down to the basement. Russell would bludgeon her with a flashlight, tie her up, and use duct tape around her face. He would record himself sexually assaulting her. After a couple of hours, he completely covered her airways with duct tape and watched her die. He would clean up and return to business as usual, like nothing happened. Russell would lay low. No break-ins, no panty sniffing, nothing. Well, I'm sure there was a fair amount of panty sniffing, but you get the idea. Until late January 2010. 27-year-old Jessica Lloyd, who lived alone on a rural highway south of Tweed, would not make it to work. Her family would be notified, and they would go to her house. They would find her purse and glasses in the driveway, but Jessica was missing. In reality, she had been sexually assaulted for hours inside of her own home. Loaded into Russell's Nissan Pathfinder and taken to his cottage in Tweed. He would rape and torture her for another 21 hours, strangle her to death. He would then leave her body in his garage while he went to work for the day, and later, he would dispose of her body along the side of the highway. During investigation of her property, police would notice a couple of things. A set of boot prints in mud outside of the house, and a set of tire tracks in a nearby field. These were very distinctive tire tracks. The search was on, and police would set up checkpoints along Highway 37 where Jessica Lloyd lived, hoping to turn up some leads. When Russell was stopped at this checkpoint, the police took note of his tire treads. Without alerting him, without him knowing, he became a suspect in the disappearance of Jessica. He was put under surveillance, and on the 7th of February 2010, he would be brought in for questioning. The wizard that was interrogating him was no joke. Russell likely thought he was too smart to get caught, but it was just a matter of time. He was also wearing the same boots that he wore when he killed Jessica, the minor details. This interrogator gave old Russell a master class. It took about 5 hours before he began to crack.
You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations.
And with great detail and very little emotion, Russell walked him through the murders.
So when you actually do strike her, what's the result?
Her skull gave way a little bit. And then I strangled her.
On the 18th of October 2010, Russell pled guilty to all charges, and on October 21st he was sentenced to 2 life sentences, along with another 120 years for various related crimes, all to be served concurrently. That means he'll be eligible for parole in 2035 after serving 25 years. Russell will be 72 years old. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, there's some great links below. The best thing you can do is like and subscribe. We will see you next time.